This tutorial I want to discuss with you the guides and the grid and talking about the preciseness of the construction of your individual letter forms. As you can see here, I've already got an Illustrator file opened. I've got a grid behind here. I've got some guides laid out, and I've got three of my faces and lined up exactly in a row. And going to work on three letter forms, J, A, and P for the word Japan. Within the grid, you can go up to View, and you can in Illustrator, under Preferences, you can go to Guides and Grid, and you can begin to customize your grid based upon however way you want to possibly create some uniformity within the letter forms you're making. So I'm not going to particularly use the grid today in this tutorial, but this is if you want to get more precise and use your grid in a much more exact way. So anyway, grid line every 1 inch, subdivisions 8. You can also customize the color here and styles of lines. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then I'm going to zoom in here, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the guidelines. If you haven't already checked, if you go to here, you've got guides, you've also got smart guides. Smart guides allows you to sort of snap things onto the guides. So you'll notice that with snap guides turned on, I'll go back up to view, and smart guides turned on. You'll notice here when I click on this vector point and drag that there, it will very easily sort of snap to, you'll feel it, or you'll not feel it, but you'll see it, and it will snap to where you want it to be. So let me see, I'll take that off, and you can see here that I'm not sure if you can see, it's something that you more have to feel, I think. So I'm going to grab that. I'm grabbing my guideline here, which I don't want to do. I'm going to move all my guidelines, by the way, into another folder because I keep selecting the guidelines and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to, sorry, not in another folder, into another layer. And I'll just double check here on my layers of my letters here, forms, to see if I've got a bunch of guides here, and I want to put all these guides up onto one layer, and I'm just holding down the shift key to click multiple guides, and then I just click, I click and drag those up there, and then those are all in there. So that allows me to very quickly lock my guides and be able to have more control over the vector points. So again, view, smart guides are turned off, and you won't feel it sort of snap to your guidelines. Again, view, smart guides, and also it gives you these little little text there to tell you where you are. Anyhow, I sometimes use smart guides, I sometimes don't. Also, something too regarding guides, you'll notice here that sometimes when you bring a guide down and you can't move it, you'll notice that is because they lock. Sometimes they automatically lock, which is really quite annoying. So you want, if you're having a hard time manipulating your guidelines, and again, I would encourage you to have the guidelines on a separate layer so you can lock the artwork. Sometimes when you click on this, you're also clicking artwork, which makes it quite tricky to manipulate the guidelines. So yeah, so that's a little bit. So again, under guides, and here's where hide lock, and you can also clear all your guides if you're tired of using them and start again. You can also clear all of them very quickly. This allows you to lock them if you don't want to put them on a single layer, and so forth. Again, you want to work with rulers. Rulers allows you to pull these guides down. You can hide rulers, but again, we leave rulers out so we can actually pull guides down. So when we talk about preciseness, we talk about setting up our guidelines where we want them, and again, it's completely subjective, and I'm going to just align them with, and again, it's all about preciseness here, and I want to get rid of that guideline. I'm just going to put that guideline out there. I'm going to hide my grid, and just so I can see this a little bit better, I'm going to delete, that guideline was selected, I'll delete that, and I will bring a guideline down here. And I've decided that I'm going to use this point of the neck here as my base point here. And so what you want to do is you really want, when you construct these letter forms, you really want to be precise based upon the sort of rules you've created for yourself. You know, I'm going to follow certain lines, and then all my the furthest point in my letter form will be here. I don't know if you notice here, but I've got a kind of a gap here, and that's because I've got white outline here on my letter form. So I don't want any, sorry, outline. This is stroke. You don't want any stroke, and just you want to work with. I've got everything. I've got a fill on here right now. You don't necessarily have to work with the fill. You can switch this, and you can just work with a line as well to kind of work out. And again, I've mentioned that your line should be very thin. If I go to Window and Stroke, you'll see here that this is 0.353. You can change this as thin as you want. I can go even 0.1, and you can see here it gets even thinner if I really want to deal with some very good preciseness. Also, you'll notice this is gray. It shows black here, but this is gray. It's because I believe I've got this on a transparency for some reason, and I will bring up transparency down here. Yeah, I've got an opacity of 40 on here, so I'll just go to 100% on this. And I'm going to change the color, so this is also a little bit easier for me to see. I'll change that to a red, and that becomes a little easier to read against the black there. So it's all about making your work easy to do. So I've decided that I'm going to bring that point up, and again, I'm using Smart Guide, so it snaps onto there. And I'm going to, again, set up my guidelines to places where I feel it matches with the lines that I'm using on the face, and be able to work within that. So again, I've set up this vertical guideline, and so now I'm going to grab my anchor point, and again, we want to use our direct selection tool to select just the vector point that I want. I'll lock my guides, and then I'm able to even zoom in even more to see what I'm doing to get even more precise. So you want to really work at this level of precision on here. And again, I'm going to zoom up here. I'm not actually working within my guideline here. So I'm going to bring up all three of these points. I'm more interested in this point here, and I'm just playing around. There's no real logic behind why I'm making certain decisions, except just working intuitively. I'm going to snap here, and then I'm going to zoom down, and I'm going to look here to using that. I think I need to join my stroke there, which I will do, so I can again just select these 2 points. Those are solid, the others are not selected, and I go Command J. If more points were selected, you would get a warning error, and then you would need to see why you were selecting other vector points. So I'm actually not going to work on any of the letter form right now. I just really wanted to give you a sense of the kind of preciseness that I want you to start practicing working at with your guides and with your line work. And I'll bring this out here to the hair more, and I will decide that this is going to be where my vector point is going to come out to, and I will snap there, and I'll add another vector point here, and I want to bring this one out. So, and now I should be able to pull that out here. Oh, that didn't work. So I'll delete. That's right. You need to select the line and then add a vector point, which I think that did it. Yep, there it is. And I can then select that and bring that in. So anyhow, again, you want to zoom in, zoom out, and really work at that level of precision all the way over. Again, I would use the same guideline to form my other letters, and same guideline, not going above that guideline. Just giving myself some basic rules to try to find some uniformity in the abstractness of the letters that I'm making. These are all, made these all fill This is a stroke. I would go back and do this as a fill, but you see here, for the purpose of drawing this, I put this at a very, I'll go back to my stroke, and you'll see it's 0.1. When I'm done with that, I will actually return it to a regular size. I'll go back to 1 millimeter, and you'll see there it comes back up, and I can hide my guides. Go View, Hide guides. A shortcut for this is Command:. If you press those two keys at the same time, Command:, you can very quickly turn this on and off. And I think Command quotation allows you to turn the grid off and on your keyboard. Another good shortcut for you to know about as learning to be professionals with this software. All right, so this ends my tutorial on guidelines and grids. Again, if I wanted to use my grids, by the way, I could align my guidelines. I can align my guidelines here with the grid, and then work within that unit of measurement. Anyhow, so that concludes this tutorial today on guides and grids and working with your letter form. Thank you.